Well, welcome everyone. Here we are, mid-December. The weeks are ticking by. I'm Allison Kelly Hedgepath, joined by my colleague, Dara Lee Lewis. And we are so thrilled that you're here joining us today with Sue Levy, who is the founder and CEO of Savory Living, here today to talk to us about how to eat to survive the holidays. So Sue, this talk couldn't come at a better time because the week is just chaos. Everybody's super busy and we're surrounded by all these things that may not match with how we want to our health to the direction we want it to go. So we are excited to hear your guiding words.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Let me, I'll just share my screen. And I hope everybody can see that. Just do a tech call. Great.
Looks good.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to just share some ideas. And I think you said it best. It's like, not only do we want to survive this holiday season, but is there an opportunity to thrive and just really go into it feeling strong, kind of being your best self in the moments that you can control and the ones that you can't, kind of dealing with what might come your way. So I'm super excited to take you through some tangible ideas. So the holidays, right? It's a beautiful time of year. And we had our first snow in this area and your family's together, we're cooking, we're eating, we're celebrating, and that's absolutely true. But what I also want to talk about is it's a hard time of year. This is like one of those feeling charts that you use with kids, but I think it's like so relevant to all of us, right? Like maybe you're on this webinar because you're a little stressed out about how you're going to make it through the holidays and feel okay. Maybe you're worried about feeling hungry, grumpy, guilty for what you eat. Maybe you're feeling kind of frustrated with all of the challenges that are on you, the people around you. And we know that emotionality plays a really large role in eating and kind of how everything goes. So I'm just here to put this out here and say, this is like a bingo card. You fill it in every day. You got more than one of them probably filled in, and they change and they move moment to moment, and that's real, and that's okay. And just to call out some of the things, right? Like, I love Pam from The Office with her candy jar, right? Like, yeah, everybody's been there in those situations where the candy is there. It's hard to resist it. Pies are kind of amazing. And then everything you go to has like a cheese plate, chocolate, bread, like all these things that are really hard to resist. And you have more to fit in, right? You're short on time. You've got social engagements. Your to-do lists are growing each day, kind of magnifying and amplifying. And then you've got holidays, kids out of school, buying gifts. Like, it just keeps kind of piling up. And daily life can feel a bit like a pressure cooker. So from the left, kind of working our way around, like you're out of your usual routine. Life is just kind of more demanding this time of year. And it takes a physical toll, right? You put on that extra weight, you're tired, you're sleeping less well, you're foggy, you're groggy, you're just worn out. And that mental toll is there. We're more stressed, especially like living through COVID, like we have been in the Northeast. Like, it's rough. You're more anxious. You're probably scattered, having trouble kind of staying focused, maybe feeling a little depressed, anxious, depleted. Like, it's real and it's here. So let's talk about the opportunity. Let's activate healthy eating to help you feel better, improve your energy, your stamina, your moods, your sleep, and improve your overall health. I'm going to talk to you about how that's possible, and survive and thrive during this difficult time, and see it as an opportunity to kind of get some things in place that are going to carry you through the new year. So here's the first tip. I want you to reframe it, okay? You matter. And I love this quote. I have come to believe that caring for myself is not self-indulgent. Caring for myself is an act of survival. And really think about it that way. And what I want to reassure you is, whenever I say healthy eating, like, people like run for the hills, right? Like, they think, oh God, I'll take it on next week. I just can't do this now, because you're afraid we're going to blow up your whole life. And we're going to take the things you love and that you need out of your day. And that is not the case at all. So don't worry about that. I want you to take a different approach to all this. I want you to set your intention, which is you're going to eat with purpose. And your action is, I'm going to love myself with food and kindness. You're eating anyway. Let's row your boat in the right direction, okay? And this is about you being kind and gentle with yourself. And think about your day and plan ahead. And I want you to mindfully overeat. That means crowd in the foods that are going to power your body to run well. So in today's webinar, I'm going to simplify healthy eating for you. I'm going to give you 7 easy tips and ways to avoid the common holiday food traps. And then at the end of this, I'm going to talk to you a bit about my online healthy eating behavior change program. You can experience that first session, which is just a great way to kickstart more of what we've talked about here and get you some support and focus for a 2-week period to carry you through this window. And if after that you say, you know what, I kind of want to do a program like this, you can then sign up if you want to. And there's the cardio group discount that you could take advantage of. But again, there's no pressure. No, I'm not selling you anything. We just want to make millions of lives better. So just a little bit about me before I get started. So this is me and my family. And my mission is to make millions of lives better with the power of food. And I want to put that in everybody's hands. So I'm 52 years old and I want to take you back to my mid-30s because that's really when my health started to change. So I had headaches. I was gaining kind of extra belly fat each year, a little bit more in that midsection. And I had all sorts of digestive issues. So acid reflux, GERD, IBS, delayed stomach emptying. And then I got a pretty scary diagnosis that I actually live with today. So I live with a rare and progressive lung disease. It's called Lown. It's super rare, and the diagnosis when I got it, it is not very good. Most women with my disease need a lung transplant in 10 years' time. And so the next question is, what's the survival rate after lung transplants? And that's kind of equally sobering. Only half of the women are still alive 10 years after the transplant. So you can imagine to hear that I might only have until I was like 54 years old to live was pretty show-stopping. But I'm an optimist. You're going to get that sense about me. And they said, maybe lifestyle intervention can help. And that was really the beginning of my journey. So I went back to school to study what the experts in the scientific and medical community had to say about eating to support your health and slow down disease. And when done correctly, healthy eating is reducing inflammation, which is connected to most of the major diseases and conditions of our time. And when I figured out how to activate it in my life, that's really when my transformation happened. And I've seen it now for the thousands of people that have been through my program. I took off the extra belly fat, the headaches gone, triglycerides, cholesterol normal. And I'm gonna knock on wood here because it's over 15 years. And I'm not on any more medications to manage my digestive issues. And I was on a lot and managing a lot there. And I'm really going to knock because my lungs have been holding firm and strong. Then there's my moods, my energy, my sleep. Life just got so much better when I got my eating working better for me. So what I know is that what they tell us is absolutely right. How we eat really matters. But what I also know is changing it is so hard to do. One size doesn't fit all. Diets don't work. There's fads in, fads out. It's hard to sort through all of it. And you know what? So many of us grew up not learning the food skills that we need to be able to assemble a better snack, a better dinner, and to connect the dots and get it really right for us. And so that's my mission. My mission is to turn this industry on its head, honestly, and get everybody what they need, which is teach people how to eat, get it right for them, and get them the skills so that you guys can do this anywhere on any budget, in any neighborhood, and really take control of your life and how you feel. So I'm super excited to take you through some ideas to help you with the holiday season. So the opportunity really is to use food as medicine. This is from the Harvard Medical School, and they say research since the 90s shows beyond all doubt that you can feel better and lower your risk for the most serious diseases of our time by following a healthy diet. And the good news is that there's general consensus around what that is. So if you look at the American Heart Association, Diabetes Association, the Cancer Society, you look at the 2 diets that you've probably heard a lot about, the Mediterranean diet, the DASH diet, you look at evidence-based guidance, which is Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate, they're basically saying a similar thing, which is awesome because it means get your foundation lined up with the right principles and you go a long way to slowing down, avoiding, and managing most of the major diseases and conditions of our time. And what I want to tell you is it's about proportion control. Okay, this is Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate. And in my program, we're migrating people towards this. Okay, and so what you want to do is take a minute and like erase how you would normally look at this. Okay, like even in the world of healthy foods, it's not all the same. You actually want to move yourself to a place of imbalance where you're eating more of some foods and less of others. You want to aim to make half of what you're eating a day vegetables and fruits. You want to pair it with healthy protein, and you want to have those healthy whole grains, but you want to keep them contained to around 1 to 3 servings a day. And they talk about, in terms of liquids, you want to drink lots of water, limit your milk and dairy to 1 to 2 servings. And in my program, we kind of help bring all of these aspects to life and help you understand the why behind them. But for today, what I just want to talk to you about is that there is really good guidance around what healthy eating is. The goal basically of healthy eating is to improve something that's called a diet quality score. It's a measure that was created by the scientific and medical community, and it's connected to health improvements. And it's been studied and validated across major diseases and conditions. So diabetes, heart disease, cancers, autoimmune conditions. And so this is a key measure and a metric to think about. And just to talk to you a little bit about this, diet quality looks at your daily eating pattern. So it looks at what and how you eat over the course of your whole day, what you had for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks, and treats. And what they have done with this measure is they've detailed specific foods and amounts that you want to eat more of and you want to eat less of. And so this is a terrific construct to say, what do I need to crowd in and what do I need to reduce out? And that's where behavior change in how you eat really comes into play to realize the full impact of what's possible. So the goal of healthy eating done correctly is to reduce inflammation. Think of inflammation like the smoldering fire that's destroying healthy blood vessels, tissues, and cells. And this is bad inflammation, chronic silent inflammation that I'm talking about. And what I'm going to take you through next are signs and symptoms of it and diseases and conditions that have been connected to it. So that extra weight in your belly region can be a sign of inflammation and is connected to it. Mood and brain conditions are connected. Things like depression and anxiety, ADD, Alzheimer's and dementia, Parkinson's, seizures, pain. So things like headaches and migraines, joint pain, arthritis, fibromyalgia, digestive issues. So IBS, Crohn's, colitis, ulcers, gas, bloating, heartburn, constipation, diarrhea, connected to and driven by inflammation. Heart disease and stroke. So high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, connected to inflammation. Type 2 diabetes, whether it's metabolic syndrome, any elevations in your blood sugar level. Immune and autoimmune conditions have been connected. So rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, chronic fatigue, multiple sclerosis, thyroid issues, allergies, things like asthma, eczema. A lot of times itis at the end tells you it's inflammation. And cancer. So you maybe see yourself on a bunch of those things, right? But you're not alone. You're in pretty good company. Over half of us, that's 155 million people alone in the US, are living with a disease or condition driven by inflammation that's improvable with diet. So disease management, absolutely. What's in red there? Diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, heart disease, autoimmune conditions, cancer, absolutely. But the other piece is these things on the top of the list are also connected to and driven by inflammation. So anxiety and depression, fatigue, the belly fat, the joint pain, the digestive issues, the headaches and migraines, the skin conditions, the food sensitivities. So the beautiful thing is, let's get your eating working better, and the things that are impacting your day-to-day quality of life, you can take control over. The best way to do it, according to the Harvard Medical School, is your fork and your knife. Doctors are learning that one of the best ways to reduce inflammation lies not in the medicine cabinet, but in the refrigerator. You can eat to fight off inflammation and improve your health. So I'll leave it to you to take a second and say, do you see yourself in any of those situations? I know for me, I was living with the belly fat. I was living with the lightning bolt of those chronic diseases, managing energy, moods, all of these pieces. And if your body's sending you some of those cues, why not play around with how you eat? So let's set your intention and let's fire it off into some action. Okay, so I want you to tell yourself, I will take control of how I eat and feel. And your mindset needs to be something like this. This is me deciding how I'll eat. I can eat everything, but I choose to eat more of some foods and less of others. Life includes indulgences, and it's not about perfection. The way I want you to think about food is it is literally becoming you. Okay, so what is in those shopping bags is becoming the cells, the energy, your body. And if I said to you, if you were going to build something, what kind of materials would you build it out of? Especially living in the Northeast, my guess is you'd love it to be like high quality materials that will stand the test of time. The same thing is true for food. So here are some of the tips. I want you to focus on that plus side, right? The eat more part of the diet quality measure, crowding in nutrient-rich foods. You want to eat more veggies and fruit. You want to aim to make them half of what you're eating a day. Go for the rainbow, and anybody of my generation knows I don't mean Skittles, right? I'm talking about eat the different colors, different things, half raw, half cooked, crowd in those dark leafy greens, the strawberries, the blueberries, the apples, like you get them into you. When you're eating, pair it with healthy proteins. So crowd in the plant-based sources like the beans and lentils, the nuts and seeds, the fatty fish like the salmon, the mackerel, and you can have meat. Don't have it very often, like Harvard's saying maybe once a week, and choose lean cuts of the red meat when you're having the red meat, but leaner cuts of chicken, better. Don't eat the skin on it to get, to avoid some of that fat. You can have the healthy fats though. And those are things like the nuts and seeds, the walnuts, the almonds, the avocados, the olives. So how do you make this happen in modern life, right? And so what I want you to do is think of yourself as an assembler. And we teach this in my program, okay? Your job, take the pressure off, is just to assemble that plate no matter where you're eating. Nana's buffet table over the holidays, a restaurant menu, your own kitchen. And so take that plate and draw the peace sign on it. Okay, so mentally divide it into thirds. And you want to eat 2 to 1. 2 parts are carbohydrates. I'm going to talk to you about what those are. And 1 part is protein. So it's like painting by number. When I say carbohydrate, that's anything that grows in the ground. So it's a vegetable, it's fruits, it's also whole grains. But what I'm going to tell you, and you saw that in Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate, they limited the amount of grains, and you learn more about why that is in our program. But what we find is if people are living with signs of inflammation, one size does not fit all, and you got to figure out the right amount of grains in your day and the right ones for you that help. But in any case, these are all the carbohydrates. Then there's the protein side. So that's beans and lentils. It can be hummus. There's bean dips that they make out of any flavor now that you can find already made in the supermarket. Just buy the lowest salt version of beans you can find and rinse the heck out of them. Nuts and seeds, go for unsalted options. Animal proteins, the eggs, the lean chicken, the lean fish. And for dairy, they say have no more than 1 to 2 servings a day. And a serving is a cup of a yogurt or milk and a piece of cheese. So how do you bring that to life? So let's say it's breakfast, right? Instead of just the eggs and cheese, jam the veggies in because we're trying to make this 2 to 1. So the 2 parts is the veggie, the 1 part is the protein, which is the eggs and the cheese. Instead of just having that oatmeal for breakfast, can you get some fruit on top? Can you get some nuts on top to get the protein into there? Can you get something on the side that bumps up your protein value? Like if it's maybe a hard-boiled egg, maybe you throw some hemp seeds on top of it, just get more protein in. And for my kids, they don't just have a plain waffle. They got to have a nut butter on it for the protein, and they got to have a fruit. For lunch or dinner, same thing, 2 to 1. A lot of people fall into that trap of I'm trying to be healthy, I'm having a salad at lunch, but they don't have any protein, and then they're hungry like an hour later, and then they just attack whatever's in their vicinity. I mean, that's happened to me. And so what I say is get the beans in there, get the animal proteins in there, get it 2 to 1. And for dinner, I always do this, even if I'm taking out, I always think like I want to assemble 2 vegetables and a protein. I always say, you know what, can I get more? Can you give me double the veggie? Can I get a side salad? And then I take some of the other stuff home with me for a meal the next day. The third tip I want to teach you about is watching your sugar. Okay. So sugar on its own is not a demon, right? The problem is we're taking in too much, and our bodies were never designed to handle the amount that's in what we're eating. So the average American is taking in 3 times the amount of sugar that we can handle. And that's translating into, you can believe it or not, half a cup a day. And you might say to me, like, is sugar that bad? And in excess, they're finding that it really does play a role. They can't quite figure out the mechanism of how it is, right? But they know it's connected to inflammation. It's been connected to depression and anxiety, headaches, migraines, digestive issues, joint pain, and they're studying all of these. Energy issues, belly fat and obesity, things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, increased triglycerides, and heart disease, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, dementia and Alzheimer's, and poor absorption of calcium and magnesium, and osteoporosis. So let's talk about how you might take action and reduce some of the sugar load in your day. Cook more, bake less. It just works that way. Anybody that's done baking knows you have a good sense of just putting sugar and sugar and sugar into things. So I always say, like with kids too, like, can you get them using the blender, using the Cuisinart, like doing some other stuff, not just baking. And this is a tip that we teach people in our program. So you can have sugar in your packaged processed foods, okay? But there's a limit they give you for grams for the day, and it's on every package. And just if you scroll down here with your eyes, you'll see for women it's 24 grams, men it's 36, and then kids can be anywhere from 16 all the way up to 32. So your job when you're buying packaged foods is turn it over and look at the nutritional panel, look at the serving size, and then scroll down to how many grams of sugar are in it. So you can see this product, this one bar, is more than my whole day of sugar. So before you get depressed about everything, this is knowledge is power, and with power comes change. So starting on the left-hand side of this page, just make substitutions. I get it. Those snack bars, they're important. You need them. You're on the go. So instead of buying that Lara bar, which is 24 grams, go for a Kind bar at 5 grams. So use that knowledge to buy something that interests you, that you like. Life is way too short to eat something you don't like, but get your sugar down because you're probably getting skunked. Similarly, look at those raisin covered total raisin version of Raisin Bran. That's 17 grams of sugar. I buy the plain at 5 grams, put a couple of your own raisins in. You're way better off. Don't get me started on smoothies that are packaged and sold out there. So look at the Stonyfield Farm one. It's 38 grams of sugar. You're way better off making your own, and especially with flavored yogurts and things, like buy Greek, it's a higher in protein, and buy it plain and add your own honey, your own agave, your own fruit, your own vanilla flavoring, and you're way better off. And kids and flavored milks, just look at some of these numbers, 27 versus the 12. And juices, and then even for desserts and things, just read the labels and get yourself, I like to tell people in our program, we say, like, have a sweet treat every day. It's an indulgence and that's fine, but just make your day really good, crowding in good stuff. And buy, if you're gonna buy some of these sweet treats, look for ones with 5 grams of sugar or less. The impulse snack, which really happens when we're shopping around the holiday season, is, like that Panera chocolate chip or cookie is 31 grams. So maybe you have half of it, you bring an apple with you in your bag and some nuts, or that lemon loaf from Starbucks, which is divine, is like 42 grams. And beware of some of those blended coffee drinks. I'm bringing these up because I think sometimes people get skunked by things, and I just want to share some of them with you. But that blended drink can be anywhere from 45 to 64 grams. For a small, and just look, you can get all the way up to 140 for a large. Everybody asked about alcohol over the holidays, and so you can have it, but you just kind of want to factor it into your equation for the day. So just to show you some numbers, 12 ounces of beer is like having 1 slice of white bread. So there's a lot of carbohydrate load in that. For wine, you're looking at 5 grams of sugar is in every 5 ounce pour. So just think about your daily limit, right? Like we said, you're trying to be at like 25 grams or so. Then, think about your wine and just keep in mind that most of the pours that you're getting and that we're giving ourselves is probably double this. And then if you have booze on the rocks, right, that has no carbs. But again, there's trade-offs with hard alcohol in your liver, and so nothing's a slam dunk, but people always ask me about alcohol in the holidays. So just to give you a sense of what happens there. Another tip is don't get caught hangry, hungry, and angry. So I always say to people, eat before you go. It's so hard to control what's going to be there. So make sure you're eating and you're not somewhere starving. And pack it up and bring it with you. Like, think about when you have kids and they're younger, right? Like, you're kind to them and you bring snacks with you because it's harder for them. And the same thing can be true for you. Get the to-go containers. We call them power boosts in my program. So you assemble 2 to 1 in a smaller amount, you bring it with you, and it really helps. And then when you're going to potlucks and holiday stuff, like I always say, bring something, contribute a dish that you know is what you're going to want to eat, because it's 9 times out of 10, it's like pastas and cheese and it's not very veggie driven. And so for me, I always bring a veggie based thing that's got some protein and it's killer, and I can eat it if there's nothing else there that I, want to eat. Tip 6 is how to avoid overeating, because that happens a lot. I think to a lot of us, especially the more you're under stress and cortisol, like you're just craving and you're eating, and then when you're at parties and things. And so this is a tip that I love, which is kind of like putting a speed bump in and slowing yourself down. So what I tell people to do is fill your plate and assemble it 2 to 1. Eat really slowly, really chew each bite. When you're done with your plate, before you go up for seconds, take a break, go into that bathroom, wash your hands, and look in the mirror and check in with yourself and say, am I hungry? Do I want to keep eating? So the interesting thing about your stomach is it's actually right kind of under your rib cage. So a lot of people, where we think our belly is and how we think we need to feel when we're full, we're actually beyond full. So just give yourself a couple breaths and just say, under my rib cage, like, how am I feeling? Am I hungry? Do I want to just keep eating? And if you're not hungry, but you want to keep eating, then ask yourself, what's going on? Sometimes for me, I know it's the food just tastes so good, I don't want to stop. And then other times I'll be like, yeah, I'm feeling kind of stressed out. I don't like who I'm talking to, or, like the stuff's on my mind. And you start to just get a sense of what might be happening. And here's the next really important step, which is you're going to be the one who decides what you do next. So you can take a deep breath in and remind yourself that you're the one deciding, and you've got options. You can say, I'm at this party and I'm going to keep eating and I'm just going to enjoy it. Or you can say, I'm going to eat a few more things. I'm going to think about what those are. I'm going to put them on my plate in small amounts. Or sometimes you might say, you know what? Is there something else that would help me more? Maybe it's a hug. Maybe it's a walk to clear my head. Maybe I could just go home and get some more sleep. Tip 7, indulge. It really is that time of year. Cut yourself some slack too. It's stressful, and food is central to holiday enjoyment and survival, right? So don't be so harsh on yourself, because right now it's December 12th, right? We had January comes soon enough. And to that point, this is what we teach in my program, because the data show that when people include an indulgence in something they love every day, the rest of their day is way better. So think of it as it's a reward for crowding in good stuff, and you proactively decide what it is you'd like to have. And the other thing that I love to do when I go to a party and there's all sorts of desserts or something is I say, I'm just going to have a little bit of each one, and together they're going to make up that slice of pie. But I'm going to get to sample and try everything. Savor your indulgences, really enjoy them. There is no guilt allowed. And remember, January comes soon enough. So you got this. Just pick a few things from what I shared that you're going to try. And I love this quote: nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Pick your some things and try them out. So here are some of the actions, just in summary, that I talked about. Your job is to crowd in nutrient-rich foods. They're going to help your body do what it needs to do and have the energy that you need. Assemble and eat 2 to 1 wherever you are. Pay attention to sugar, and just, even if it's right now, you just start to look at the grams of sugar in the things that you're eating and start to tally your day. And then we can work with you on lowering it and lowering it and lowering it. Plan ahead to eat well. You deserve it. Bring your snacks with you. Don't go anywhere hungry. Remember to contribute a dish that you're most interested in eating. And to avoid the overeating trap, do the bathroom tip. Check in, wash your hands, think about what's going on for you, and include those indulgences. You deserve it. It's a beautiful time of year, and no guilt allowed. I'm going to take another couple minutes at the end just to take you through my program. You're here because you're interested in eating well. my program is a way to help you kind of take it further along and get what you need to turn healthy eating into a lifestyle that really works for you. We'll show you how to activate healthy eating to improve your life with food. It's a proven program. It runs online and it's self-paced, so there's no stress behind it. What we're doing is we're guiding you through a carefully orchestrated change experience. You're learning about healthy eating, you're applying a topic to your life with each session, figuring out what works for you, solving it, and moving on. We're teaching you how to take control and empowering you to figure out how to eat right for you. We're a proven behavior change program. We run online on your schedule, so 24/7 on any device at 2 a.m. in your pajamas with your bunny slippers. You can go through it. We're personalized to you, and it includes a live human coach that's going through it with you session by session and through the app. It's designed for all eaters and skill levels. We have people that are halal, kosher, gluten-free, dairy-free. We have people who love to cook, people who've never boiled water. We have, people that start the program, with no knowledge of nutrition. And then I've got diabetes educators and coordinators going through our program with their patients. We're a 12-session nutrition and cooking curriculum, and we are FSA and HSA eligible. So that's flexible spending accounts. So how we're different, just to lay it on the table, is we really go after inflammation because everybody's got different signs of it, and you want to activate healthy eating to tackle that and really improve your day-to-day life and how you're feeling and help you manage diseases and conditions. We teach the food and cooking skills that help you turn it into a lifestyle, and we're behavior change, so we're helping you get it right for you, stay motivated, solve the barriers that get in the way until you've figured it out and you're into a rhythm that really works. Some of the data behind our program: 97% program motivated, taught me how to eat better. 95% got me to a healthy eating lifestyle I'm still practicing. 94% improved and got their diet quality scores in compliance. 92% experienced the health improvements, so program helped me improve my overall health. We have a 4.7 out of 5-star independent review, and our net promoter score, which is how willing would you be to recommend this program to friends and family, is an 80. We beat Noom, MyFitnessPal, Weight Watchers, and 96% satisfaction. So this is, appreciate that my employer health plan offers this program. So total health is solving that unique set of things that you care about and getting your eating absolutely right. So you're really figuring out how many grains, which kinds, what vegetables do you do better with, what kind of protein sources, and really helping you tinker to connect the dots to get to where you want to be. And adjusting how you eat, it's a lot like that diet quality score stuff I shared with you, right? Like it's eat more of some foods, eat less of others, and really get it right for you, because that's where the rubber hits the road. One size does not fit all, and you gotta figure it out. And we're helping you session by session activate key topics. So you learn about it, you apply it to your life, you solve it, and you move on. I like to tell people figuring out how to eat right for you and making change in how you eat, it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. You can't start with it all at once. You got to start and move topic by topic and really get it right. Our program is guiding you through change. It's 12 sessions, gets you to lifestyle. Each session lasts for 2 weeks. So if you did it as intended and you did all of it, it would take you 6 months. But you can always go more slowly. And you know what? A lot of people don't need all of the 12 sessions. They solve it earlier, and we've flighted it to work that way, but you have the opportunity to stop it anytime with a click. This is our curriculum. You can see more of it on the webpage that we've built for you folks. But what it is a mashup of a nutrition course plus a healthy cooking and eating course. So in each session, you see on the left there the major topics around nutrition and healthy eating and how to activate it that you need to know something about. And then on the right are the foods and the things you've got to crowd in and how to make them taste great and how to do it without, we give you recipes and show you cooking techniques. So much like you can fry an egg without a recipe, you're learning how to do that with these beautiful nutrient-rich foods. I like to tell people you can make a grilled cheese without a recipe. For this to become a lifestyle, you've got to do the same thing with these beautiful nutrient-rich foods. And we're teaching you how to do that. We're teaching you how to cook and flavor healthy food. So you move beyond eating the same 3 things over steamed. I love to tell people, like, you wouldn't eat your pasta plain and overcooked. Why are you doing that to these vegetables? Come on, let's make them taste amazing. And you got to create variety and appeal to the pickiest of eaters. So I'll tell you a fun anecdote with my kids, right? So I don't give them tuna because it's really high in mercury. You learn that in the protein class. So I do more of canned salmon and things. And my kids love Indian food. So I mash up the salmon with mayonnaise, tons of cut up vegetables, and I do curry powder. And my kids eat it. They love it, right? Well, the next time I go to make it, I'm reaching for the curry powder and I'm out. And I go, all right, I'm going to go to Mexico. That's lime, cilantro, some black beans. I make it. I think it's awesome. I'm eating it. And my kids won't touch it. Well, if I didn't know what I knew about flavoring, I'd say they don't like salmon, but that's not true. They ate the other one. They don't like the Mexican flavor profile. Okay. What do you like? Do you like Italian? That's garlic, olive oil, basil. Like, we teach you all the different flavor profiles so you can make turkey, you can make, a burger out of anything on Wednesday nights and take it to Italy, to Greece, to Spain, to Southeast Asia, and really start to create the variety around these beautiful foods. And those are the skills that we are teaching you. It's the cooking technique, the form it takes, what you add to it, and how you balance flavors. That's that tongue on the left there. There's also some other kind of umami, which is recognized as well, but usually there's 4 tastes when you're cooking and flavoring food: sweet, salty, sour, bitter. And a lot of times people just keep adding salt because they think that's what it needs and they kill the dish. Instead, probably needed a splash of fresh lemon juice, which is the sour note, or even just a little bit of sugar, which is the sweet note. And we teach you how to do that so that we're boosting your kitchen confidence and you're making food taste great. And this is on any budget. It's about real food in the real world. It's not hunting down goji berries from the Himalayas. It's like frozen, canned, grocery stores, Walmart, Target, you name it. So behavior change and how it works is, if we want you to change how you eat, we got to start with your brain. You got to understand some things and say, I'm fired up and inspired to make change. And then we got to help you translate that into action. What do you eat? How do you assemble it differently? What are some of those skills so that you say, oh my gosh, I can do this. I'm eating anyway. This is awesome. My food tastes great. And the third piece is, I said it before and I'll say it continuously, one size does not fit all. So it's about getting it right for you. You gotta love how you're eating. It's gotta fit into your life, your work, your family, all of those aspects, because that's where it really falls down for most people. And that's the piece that you need some help figuring out. This is what it looks like. You do 3 simple actions each session. You watch that class, which is 25 minutes. You learn about a key nutrition topic that unlocks me in a kitchen. I'm showing you how to do some of this stuff, and you pick a couple things you're going to try. And so it directs you to pick 3 things that you're going to spend the next 2 weeks trying out. Then you log how you're eating and feeling, and there's a coach proactively messaging you to reinforce what you learned in that session, ask you some questions, look at your log, answer your questions, and really help you. And when you're ready, you move on to the next session. You will see your diet quality score throughout the program. You're answering some questions, and then we're showing you how are you doing relative to the eat more foods, the eat less foods, and what impact are you noticing on how you're feeling. And you leave having figured it out with a PDF of your Eat Well plan. It codifies for you what eating right for you looks like, what's going to get in your way, how you're going to proactively manage it, and we're there to support you. These are just some testimonials. This program is phenomenal. It's real eating and enjoyable. I've tried Weight Watchers, Noom, and the Whole30, and they don't compare. What's so different is it teaches you how to eat to reduce inflammation. I feel like a new person. I have energy I didn't have. I've lost weight, no more headaches and digestive issues. I have less pain and inflammation. I've learned healthy cooking techniques that are fast, simple, and delicious so I can incorporate it into my busy life. The food is so delicious that my family loves it. People come into our program, and then when they leave, we say, just take a picture of what you're empowered now to do, because that's our mission. And so whether you're a type 2 diabetic with heart disease on the upper left, a young kid with stomach and digestive issues on the upper right, a mom with 3 kids, the bottom left, and then on the bottom right, my favorite, physician who wanted to get off his blood pressure medications. So you can go online, read more about us, and see what folks have to say. But the offer I want to talk to you about is, you're here because this topic matters to you, and I think it should. You know my story, and I believe it's probably the most important thing I did for myself and for my family. But what I want to do is tell you, like, if you're interested, try out that first session. There's no credit card. Honestly, it's really just about giving you some good information to move forward and getting you a good kickstart for 2 weeks. You'll learn about the connection between inflammation and how you feel, how to eat to reduce it, how to assemble your plate to eat well anywhere, and you'll pick 3 things, and you'll get that coach and that support to start to get those things into practice. And if after those 2 weeks are up, you get an email from us and we say, hey, if you want to continue and learn more and expand, that's when you're signing up. And if you wanted to, you would take advantage of the group's 25% discount, which is basically just $8.25 a week. And you can cancel anytime, and it's FSA and HSA eligible, but no pressure at all. I'm just sharing the awesome offer. But I am hoping after this webinar, you've got what you need to start to implement some really good things for you. And if you want to learn more, you just go to savoryliving.com/LOWN cardiology. And that's my talk, and I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Sue. That was so great. What fun. We covered so much. I think we could probably, spend 3 hours, right, dissecting that. That was really whirlwind. I want to maybe come back to a couple of points you made that really resonated with me. I feel like this week and next week are so stressful and so busy. So this weekend, I was with my kids. My husband had to work, and we made cookies, right? And so that sounds like it's a fun family activity, right? And actually, it is maybe not as straightforward, right? Depending on the attitudes of your children, right? But anyway, I did a good job of not like eating half the dough by myself. And I was like, saving my cookies for the end of the day. And then my son like literally got me going. He's supposed to be studying, and I ate my cookies while I'm like yelling at him. And I felt like, oh my God, I didn't even savor it. Here I've been waiting to like enjoy this, right? And the stress just took over. And now I've done this completely mindless eating. What do you say to patients and clients, right? When you have this being the issue? And actually, maybe I'll ask you to screen share just so we can stop screen sharing so we can.
Yes, I'll stop the share. Perfect. Well, I mean, I think the first thing I'd say is like, you're so not alone. You're in really good company with that one. Cause I think it's like, as a mom myself, like I know, like even there'll be times that I'm just like, I have to catch myself and be like, am I hungry, or am I just eating because I'm so agitated and like frustrated, or I just need some joy and sense of control because my children are making me crazy at this point in time. So that's like very real. And I wish there was like a magic, just do this and that will never happen for you. Like I think it's a combination also of why I say bake less and have less of it around, because I think it's really hard when you have those foods that have more sugar in them around and within easy grabbing reach. So it's step one is like, and it's like, there'll be times when you really honestly can't control that, right? Like it's there and it's hard, but I like even simple tricks, like don't have I actually organize our refrigerator and our kitchen kind of based on the categories sort of. So what I found is I don't have all the crunchy snacks and everything out on the counter like I used to, because if you see them, it's like they just call to you and you go there. And so now I have to actively make my way to the cupboard to find them, which slows me down and gets me to be like, oh, what am I doing? Oh, I'm going for this again. I notice I'm not reaching for the fruit bowl, but I'm going for it. So that's number one. Number two is you've got to make the foods you want to eat more of ready and within reach. So they do some really interesting studies where they take a fruit bowl, right? And they say, all right, putting fruit in it, but you have to wash it before you can eat it. And they look at people and they see how much are they eating. Then they do a scenario where the stuff is washed, ready to go. And you probably know where this is going, right? Like just that simple action of having to wash that apple stops you. So what you want to do is, it's like the impulse stuff in the store, right? When you're checking out, they have it all in front of you. Like you want to have the good stuff in the impulse areas, and you want it washed and ready to go. Same thing is true. Like if you want to have a snack, like that's why baby carrots are awesome, because you don't have to really do much. They're already washed and they're there. And then I grab them with some hummus and I go. But if you want to have like peppers or snap peas, like have them washed, have them cut up, have them in clear containers in your refrigerator, and don't put them in the produce bin. That's kind of where vegetables go to die. You like keep them where you can see them. That's the second tip I would say. Yeah, I think those are like the two that kind of can help quelch some of it, but there is absolutely this, you'll eat when you're frustrated, you're annoyed, or you're not paying attention. The other thing that I'll tell you is that there's this other really interesting thing they call, which is like sugar begets sugar. And so the more you have, the more you will want. And it's a physiological thing that you're like Sisyphus trying to roll that boulder up and it keeps rolling back down on you, or you're kind of you're trying to row your boat against the current. And so what you want to try to do is make that current, you want to try to flip things around a little bit. And I think those strategies help, but also recognizing that the more you crowd in those nutrient rich foods we talked about, the more your sugar cravings will change. And the more if you start to reduce that down, your body will ask for less of it, and it'll be easier to continue to eat well.
Sue, thank you so much. I think that's so true. And I know that when people eat sugary foods for breakfast, it really sets you up to crave more sugary foods all day. I think that is not only me, but scientifically proven. So I love the breakfast items you show, especially the omelets and things like that. Now, when it comes to the sugary craving, there's a question here, and I have the similar question. Artificial sweeteners or non-caloric sweeteners, certainly we know that the aspartame and sulfame, those are potentially carcinogenic and probably really crappy. But then there's the natural ones like stevia or monk fruit. Where do those fit in? Is there a place for those in a healthy diet to substitute for the sugar?
Totally. I mean, I think it's a hard one, because you also want to recognize that there are people with medical conditions and like they really need a sugar substitute. So you have to kind of be like, what is okay and what can they have? And the way to think about sugar substitutes, I think of it maybe because I'm a chef too, like from a flavor, there's safety, then there's also like a flavor profile, like a palate. And so the ones that you talked about, like the aspartame, like so the Splendas, the Equals, like those are high intensity sweeteners. Okay. So they're also, you're absolutely right what you talked about. Like I don't think those are in anyone's direction, but what you want to talk about, they're high intensity. So it's like, they don't taste like regular sugar. They leave this like, and they start to train you to almost have a palate of needing things even sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. The reason why I'm saying that is, so let's switch over now to the healthy camp, right? Like the stevia, the monk fruit, the erythritol, right? Those are more low intensity sweeteners. I'm sorry, the erythritol is the one that I tend to like the most, because I feel like, and monk, I always want to say monkfish, but it's monk fruit. Monk fruit is also similarly like it seems more like regular sugar. Like it doesn't take you to a high intensity space that like stevia does. Like I hate stevia. Like I just can't tolerate the taste of it. What was interesting is when I started doing the research for my program, I was really curious about what the experts in the space had to say. And more importantly, I also wanted to look at, okay, what do they do? Like they can say something, but what are they doing, And so I looked at Dr. Walter Willett, whom I think is tremendous, and the work they're doing there is wonderful. And when you ask these people, they basically say, there's not long-term data about some of this stuff, so we don't know. And then then people ask, well, what are you doing? And he's like, you know what? I try to have less of all of it. And when I have it, I just have some regular sugar and just know that that's kind of what I'm doing. So I guess it's my long-winded way of saying, like, I don't know exactly what to tell you or to tell people, but I think like that's a lane that not everybody has the luxury of. Right? Like if you're living with metabolic syndrome or type 2 diabetes or other conditions, like you don't want to just have sugar and be like, okay, what you want to do then is figure out a substitute. And for me, I'm more in the camp of erythritol because it's plant-based, it's of the right intensity, and you're not training yourself to crave more and more sweet. That's what I would say.
And that's one of the non-absorbable sugar alcohols, right? And I think one of the ice cream bars you showed, I believe a lot of those are sweetened with erythritol. So they just sort of pass right through, which for people who eat a lot of them, I think it can cause diarrhea and stomach upset because it does pass right through. But in moderation, I think those are pretty well tolerated.
Yes. And I again, there's like, you want to have a sense of what does work and what are you noticing for you. That's why like there's not one answer.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting though is like most sugar is sugar is sugar, you know, so there's this trap where people are like, oh, it's raw agave, oh, it's, you know, cane sugar from the, it's like, no,
Organic. Yeah.
it's sugar. Like, don't kid yourself, like, it's sugar. But, you know, like, you know, I get that it plays a role. And even things simply though, like, when you start to eat less, your palate changes and you don't want it as sweet. And that's like also interesting because even when you're baking, like my guess would be like, you could probably make the things you're baking with less sugar in them and not even notice. And then over time, your palate will change and you'll want less and things will be almost like too sweet that you used to be like, oh, that's fine. You brought up a really great point about breakfast and how you start your day, you know, and it's interesting because like, I think like especially in the States, like we start our day with grains, right? And we know that those get converted to sugar. We do a whole class on sugar at like a higher rate, which is really ultimately why Harvard's saying have them, make them whole, but contain them, right? Because if you eat too many, it's your sugar, it's too much. But what happens, which is kind of interesting, is think about it like you've been fasting. It's called break fast. You're breaking the fast. And so if what you have then is like orange juice, which is tons of sugar, piece of toast, right? Even if it's whole grain, it's still got the grain, which is converted. Did you put some jam on it? What did you know, like, how are you, like, the problem is that you want to see, like, and people in our program, like if you do that first session, there's a great recipe. We do smoothies in the morning, but they're like kale and protein. It's the right kind of smoothie. And what people notice is like, oh my gosh, when I vary up my breakfast, to your point, and I start with something that's protein, nutrient rich, doesn't have the sugar load that I'm usually eating, I'm full, I stay full longer, my energy's better, and I just can make better choices throughout the day, because what happens is the blood sugar level in their brain doesn't drop. Because if it drops, you start craving. It's not like, oh, let me have a sensible meal. It's like, give me the cookies, give me the pizza, get me the, you know, it just makes it harder. And so there's things that you can do that make it a lot easier for you to eat well, physiologically.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that you hit on some really key points, right? I mean, just the idea that we have so much control, right, over those hormones, right, by setting our body up, right, to be supporting what we really want to eat. And then also how we can train our palate, right? And, you know, you can do that like with your morning coffee, right? If you are a 5 teaspoon coffee, right, then you slowly wean yourself down, right? And just to appreciate it, right? But I think, you know, that approach to everything, right? First, you have to be curious about it to experiment, right? To see where you can get. So I love that you're taking that approach. Maybe you can give us some more tips too about getting those vegetables. You know, you said half the plate, you know, when we're thinking about our food for the day, you know, comes from the ground, right? So do you have healthy tips for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and getting those greens in?
Yeah, like where I start with people is I always say, like, what do you like to eat now? And look at what that is and ask yourself, how do I crowd a vegetable into it? So I'll give you like a great example, so like with kids, say you're doing taco night, right? For a lot of people, taco night would be like the corn. And if you follow the recipes they give you, right, it's like the beef with the taco seasoning, with the taco chips, with the cheese, right, with maybe a little bit of iceberg lettuce. I don't know. So if we're trying to bump up the nutritional value and get it to work harder for you, okay, let's get some beans in the taco meat, right? Let's reduce the amount of meat, add beans in, and let's get some frozen spinach in. And a tip with frozen vegetables is they really are like, what matters from a nutrient value standpoint is like the longer something goes from when it was picked from the ground, they believe the nutritional value is eroding. Okay, so however long that food takes to get into you. But what's cool about frozen is it's picked, it's parboiled, so cooked ever so slightly, frozen at its height, and then you get it and you can thaw it. So everybody kind of shuns their nose at frozen, but in reality, from a nutrient standpoint, really good bet. The issue tends to be more texture and what people do with it, and they tend to want to overcook it, even though it's already been cooked, and that's the stuff you got to kind of learn. But when you're thawing spinach or any frozen vegetable, just put it in a big bowl of water, cold water, for a couple minutes. it'll thaw, then you strain it to get the water out, and then you can saute it with garlic, olive oil, get it. So like if you're in that taco mix, like thaw some spinach, get that in there. And instead of iceberg lettuce, let's go for like a baby green that gets in there, or even a sliced like Napa cabbage, really thin, bounces on the tongue. That's crunchy, right? Avocado. So you start to say, how do I push more things into what we're eating?
I love it. That's great advice. I wish you were cooking for me right now.
You know, I heard you talk about putting kale in your smoothie too, and I'm a huge smoothie fan, and I do think a morning smoothie is a great way to start the day. I'm personally not a fan of kale in my smoothie. I think it has a really strong flavor, but frozen spinach, and you know, as the parent of a very picky teenager, frozen spinach totally disappears, especially if you have something like blueberries that covers the color, or if you're doing like a cocoa, peanut butter, banana kind of one.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't you
Yep.
say you can throw almost a cupful of frozen spinach into almost any smoothie and not taste it, honestly, right?
Yeah, I think the trick with the smoothie is it's like the flavor balancing, right? So if you want to get the greens in there, it's got to be cold enough and it's got to be just sweet enough. And where you'll start with that smoothie over time, when people go through our program, they end up putting less and less and less sweetener in to make it work because they're like, they don't need it. But in the beginning, a lot of folks do. But absolutely. The other thing that I think is so important, because my background is in behavior change, and that's like what I've spent like 20 years in that. And with Savory Living, we've been out here for about 11 years now. And what I will also tell you is that a key piece to changing how you eat long-term is tapping into your intrinsic rewards. Okay, so everybody talks about intrinsic motivation, like what's inside of you. So intrinsic is like you're driven and it connects with you, versus like someone outside of you saying, you should eat better to protect your heart. You should eat better to do this, right? That's extrinsic. That's not enough. You've got to connect in with why this matters to you and why you want to take it on. But even if you do that, you can't succeed unless you really feel the difference the effort you're doing is making. So that's why it's so important to kind of systematically look at this and say, okay, I'm going to take action and I'm going to follow Dara's lead and I'm going to have that smoothie. And I'm going to listen to what Sue said and I'm going to assemble 2 to 1. And I'm going to listen to what Allison said and I'm going to jam more good stuff into my dinners. And notice how you feel, because you'll start to feel better and you'll be like, wow, when I start my day that way, I'm not hungry in an hour. Or you know what? I am not popping off at the guy that cut me off at the street. You know, like you just start to notice, I'm sleeping better when I have, a dessert that isn't 25 grams of sugar before I go to bed. And if you can start to notice that, that becomes your intrinsic reward. And what we find in our program is that people are like, they would fight you rather than have you take away what they've discovered and what they know works for them. And so I guess I'd say to anybody on this call or anybody that wants to change how they eat, like that's key. You know, you have to do it because you feel that difference and give yourself the room to really notice it.
Yes, not for us as your doctor or for your spouse or for anybody, except because that maybe will get you a couple weeks, right? But for the long-term change.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, but it sells itself. So you just have to get you on the right path. That's what I would have to say. So, you know, we're getting short on time. Sue, last words of wisdom for, you know, we have a holiday party this week, you know, again, how should we approach this? Where's the payoff?
For eating well or for survive, like, which I don't know how to answer. I think that the payoff is so there. But I also, I think one of the most important things you can do is set an intention that is something along the lines of like, I'm going to love myself with food, like during this really difficult time. And what that means can be something different for everybody. But like, I know if I gave you mine, it would be, I'm going to control what I can, which is I'm going to have a killer smoothie for breakfast. I'm going to pack some Power Boost snacks that are 2 to 1. I'm I'm going to assemble the best way that I can, but I'm also going to enjoy what's out there and these foods. Cause I lost my mom like 6 years ago, and food is such a way that I connect with her. And so over the holidays, like if I ever, like I mean, I talked to you about managing your sugar, but I am going to absolutely have her banana cream pie that I am making. You know what I mean? Because that's a way that I love myself too. And so it's about moderation, and it's about having, but it's about crowding in more good stuff that will love you the way and give you that huge hug and embrace that honestly, like we all need right now.
Very well said. And I think, Dara and I couldn't agree more that food is medicine, and that we should be taking kind of this bird's eye view, right, on how we can really make each of our meals really support where we want our health to be. So this was wonderful and very helpful. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Sue, for your time. We will send out an email with all of Sue's contacts and information about Savory Living, and we wish everybody really happy holidays and a happy new year, and we'll see you back again in 2023.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Sue.
Bye.